Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you tried to help someone, invested your time and energy, but in the end felt like it was all in vain? That tired feeling, as if you were carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, but the burden never lifted. And what's more, how do you know when helping becomes harmful, both for the person and for you? Could it be that, in trying to lend a helping hand to save someone, we end up sinking together into the same abyss? When is the right time to say no, and stop trying to fix what can't be fixed? What if, in trying to help everyone, we are neglecting our own peace and mental health? These questions may seem harsh, but they are absolutely necessary. Life brings us into contact with all kinds of people, and the impulse to want to help is natural, especially when we are empathetic. However, Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us to live according to reason and in harmony with nature, warns us about the dangers of investing energy in those who are not willing to change or help themselves. True wisdom lies not in trying to save everyone, but in knowing who is worth saving, and more importantly, knowing when to remove ourselves from a situation to preserve our sanity and well-being. Here, we will explore 10 types of toxic people we should avoid helping, because, as Stoic philosophers teach us, not everyone wants or is ready to receive help, and insisting on it can be a fatal mistake. Hello, I'm Henrique Magalhães, and today I'm going to guide you on another journey of Stoic wisdom. Before we begin, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Here we discuss profound topics that can transform your life, so get ready to dive into this reflection. Person number 1, the eternal victims. These people live in the role of victim. For them, the blame for everything that goes wrong in their lives always lies with the outside world, the government, the economy, family, friends, or their partner. They never take responsibility for their own choices or behaviors. You can give advice, you can suggest alternatives, but nothing changes because what they really want is not a solution, but validation that the world is unfair to them. When we get involved with someone like this, it is easy to fall into the trap of trying to be the savior, the hero who will solve all their problems. But in doing so, we forget that these people are not really interested in getting out of the victim role. On the contrary, they often cling to this role because it exempts them from the responsibility of changing. By trying to help them, you wear yourself out, and in the end, the person remains in the same place, complaining and finding new reasons to reinforce their victim role. Person number 2, the manipulators. Manipulators are masters at using other people's emotions to achieve their own interests. They are skilled at presenting them, creating a false image of fragility so that you feel obligated to help them. However, behind this mask, their intentions are always selfish. They manipulate situations, people, and emotions to get others to do what they want, often without them even realizing it. When we interact with manipulators, we fall into a web of mental and emotional games. Helping them may seem compassionate at first, but over time you realize that you are being used, that your good intentions are being distorted, and that they never really wanted a solution in the first place. Helping them only perpetuates this cycle of manipulation, and often the only way to escape is to walk away completely. Person number 3, the persistent negativist. Negativists have an uncanny ability to turn any situation, no matter how good, into something bad. For them, life is a series of tragedies, and they are always waiting for the next disaster. Even when something good happens, they find a way to focus on the bad, or predict that things will soon get worse. If you try to help someone like this by offering advice, words of encouragement, or showing them positive solutions, you'll quickly realize that it's like talking to a wall. They're so immersed in their pessimism that they can't see the possibility of change or anything positive. Their negativity is contagious, and over time, you may start to feel like your own energy and optimism is being drained. Stoic philosophy teaches us to maintain our inner peace, and helping someone who only sees the negative can jeopardize that peace. Person number 4, the chronic egoist. With selfish people, the key is to not feed their expectations that the world revolves around them. Set clear boundaries from the beginning. If you find that your actions are being unilaterally directed to their benefit, without any reciprocity. Be direct in expressing your expectations. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate balanced relationships, and this means that if the exchange is not fair, you should reconsider how much energy you invest in that person. 5. Gossipers and schemers. The best way to deal with gossipers is to not participate in their intrigues. Cut the conversation short as soon as you notice that the topic is turning to gossip or destructive criticism of others. Stay neutral and, when possible, change the subject to something more constructive. Stoicism teaches us to speak only of what is true, useful, and necessary. Engaging in gossip goes against these principles and only perpetuates a cycle of negativity. 6. The passive-aggressive. Passive-aggressiveness can be one of the most exhausting ways to deal with someone, as it is often difficult to spot right away. The key here is to not play along with their psychological game. When you notice passive-aggressive behavior, confront the person calmly but firmly. Ask them directly about the problem and make it clear that you prefer open and honest communication. Stoicism values clarity and rationality, and when we confront passive-aggressive behavior calmly and firmly, we avoid falling into the emotional traps that these people create. 7. The disengaged. These are people who talk a lot but do little. The best way to deal with them is to demand action rather than just talk. If they ask for advice, offer practical solutions, but make it clear that the responsibility for taking action is entirely theirs. Don't waste your time repeating the same advice to someone who clearly has no intention of putting it into practice. Stoicism reminds us to focus on our own actions and not get frustrated by the lack of commitment of others. 8. Narcissists. Narcissists are always seeking admiration and recognition. When dealing with them, it is important not to feed their ego. Keep the conversation on a rational level and do not allow your actions or compliments to be used as a bargaining chip to gain favor or acceptance. Stand up for your own needs and values without being manipulated by the narcissist's superficial shine. Stoicism teaches us to recognize our intrinsic worth, and this means not allowing ourselves to be diminished by someone who sees the world only through their own prism. Number 9. Advice rejectors. These people are always asking for help, but are never willing to listen. To deal with them, Stoicism suggests that we must accept that we have no control over other people's choices. Offer advice once, but do not insist. If you sense that the person is not willing to listen, remove yourself from the situation and let them face the consequences of their own decisions. The important thing is not to get frustrated by trying to change someone who does not want to be changed. The irresponsible. Irresponsible people are a challenge because no matter how much you help them, they keep making the same mistakes. To deal with them, make it clear that they are entirely responsible for their actions. Don't try to rescue them over and over again, because doing so deprives them of the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. Stoicism values learning through experience, and sometimes the best way to help someone who is irresponsible is to let them suffer the natural consequences of their choices. Ultimately, what Stoicism teaches us is the importance of preserving our inner peace, regardless of the actions of others. You can't change someone who doesn't want to change. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. And most of all, you can't sacrifice your own emotional and mental health trying to rescue someone who would rather sink. Each of these 10 toxic people poses a different challenge, but the Stoic response to them all is the same. Set boundaries, protect your peace, and focus on what's within your control. The world is full of people who want your help, but who are not willing to help themselves. It is up to you to decide who deserves your time, attention, and energy. And remember, helping is an act of compassion. Now I ask you, are you ready to take control of your relationships and prioritize your peace? What kind of person do you choose to be from now on? Someone who lives to please and help everyone, even at the expense of themselves? Or someone who wisely knows when to say no and protect themselves from negative influences? The choice is in your hands. Now stop for a moment and think with me. How many times have you reached out to someone who seemed to be in desperate need of help? How many times, moved by your compassion, have you offered your time, your energy, maybe even financial resources to try to lift someone who was at rock bottom? And most importantly, after all of this, Have you ever asked yourself if it was really worth it? Let's be honest, we've all been there. That friend or family member who always asks for help, but never seems to make any progress. That person who, no matter what you do, keeps falling back into the same self-destructive patterns, leaving you feeling like you're pouring water through a sieve. And worst of all, have you ever felt that frustration, that heaviness in your heart, when you realize that your help was in vain? That you invested so much in someone who, deep down, didn't want to be helped? I've been there. Have you? Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you tried to be the savior, only to end up hurting yourself in the process? Have you ever helped someone who, in the end, only left you more tired, more frustrated, without even receiving a simple, genuine thank you? Now tell me, have you ever regretted helping someone? Maybe you started out with the best intentions, but over time, you realized that the person you were trying to save didn't want to change. That somehow, they were using you as a crutch, without ever making a real effort to improve. How was it to deal with that? It hurts, doesn't it? Not only because of the wasted energy, but also because of the disappointment of seeing that the person didn't appreciate your effort. Believe me, this doesn't make you a bad person. Quite the opposite. It shows that you have a big heart, a sincere desire to help others. But it also reveals something that we often forget. We can't carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Stoicism teaches us an important truth. We have no control over the choices and actions of others. As much as we want to, we can't change someone who isn't willing to change. We can't transform the life of someone who prefers to remain trapped in their own mistakes. And that's when we have to make a tough choice. Help ourselves first. Have you ever stopped to think about this? That by insisting on helping those who don't want to be helped, you're actually neglecting yourself? Are you putting yourself on the back burner, ignoring your own limits, your time, your energy? I know, sometimes it's hard. We want to be good people. We want to believe that everyone can change, that our help can make a difference. But the truth is that we can't sacrifice ourselves for those who aren't willing to stand up for themselves. So I ask you, how long will you continue to put the needs of others ahead of your own peace? How long will you allow these toxic people to drain your energy, leave you drained and frustrated? Stoicism reminds us that we must practice compassion, yes, but wisely. We need to be selective in who we help, because not everyone is ready or willing to receive help. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you felt emotionally drained after trying to help someone who clearly wasn't committed to changing themselves? How many nights have you spent thinking about someone else's problems while your life remained stagnant? You deserve better. Now I want you to ask yourself, what is really in your control? What can you do right now to protect your peace, your mental health, your emotional balance? Sometimes the answer lies in something simple but difficult to accept: letting go. Yes, letting go of those who are not willing to walk by your side, who prefer to stay trapped in their toxic cycles, who only want to take advantage of your goodwill. Have you ever had to do this? Have you ever had to make the difficult decision to walk away from someone who was not bringing anything good to your life? If so, you know how liberating this can be. It is painful at first, yes, but over time, you realize that by releasing these people from your life, you are creating space for something much more valuable. People who truly want to grow, improve, and share this journey with you in a healthy way. So the next time you feel tempted to help someone who always brings you down, stop and think, does this person really want to be helped? Or do they just want you to carry their burden while they stay in the same place? Now that we have reached the end of this journey, I want to thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart for staying until the end of this video. Your time is precious, and knowing that you chose to be here with me, learning and reflecting on these Stoic teachings, means a lot to me. It is an honor to be able to share this content with people like you, who are willing to seek personal growth and become the best version of themselves. I am immensely grateful, especially to all of you who are already subscribed to the channel. You are part of this incredible community that we are building together. Each comment, each like, and each view from you is a sign that we are on the right path. You are the soul of this channel. And it is thanks to your continued support that we can continue to create videos that bring deep and valuable reflections on Stoicism and life. If you are new here and are not yet part of our family of subscribers, I sincerely invite you to subscribe to the channel. Here we talk about topics that help build a more balanced, wise, and purposeful life. Join us, turn on notifications, and that way you will be the first to know when new videos are released. There is much more valuable content coming, and I would love to have you on this journey with us. And to all of you who stayed until the end, my deepest gratitude. You are proof that Stoicism is a living philosophy, and together we are learning to apply it in a practical way in our lives. I am eternally grateful, and until the next video.